We are live. Wonderful. This is the first on this channel. We have three people here.
Mhm.
These three fine gentlemen here that you see on the screen are, well, it says the name of the channels actually. Gang 2019 and Matthias Treeman. There is a link to your channels in the title to this live stream. So if you're watching this after the live stream, please go and check that out. I think you can actually just click on the names there in the title to this stream. And we're going to talk about the European perspective on different things. Before we get into that, for those who people are joining, that's wonderful. We are going to highlight some nice comments here, and yeah, we are the big three, um, and we're going to reply to some of the comments. Um, we can't reply to all, but before we get to that, we are all dealing with Viking slash Germanic um, culture and our ancestry going back into those areas, if you will. So that's a main topic on all our channels, as well as nature. Um, and of course, hold on. Brage, one of the dogs started screaming, of course, right now. But I think we have Funky Prepper here, and that's wonderful. He's from England. We have Håkan, Germanic culture, I said. Germanic tribes. So, what I'm going to have to do now, it's not very professional, but I'm going to leave you for a few seconds and you will have to keep the conversation going because one of the dogs started screaming out in the yard here. So,
Okay,
I
Bjorn, no
leave
problem.
you.
We'll hang it. We'll hang it. Yes. Good morning,
We'll,
everybody.
we'll, we'll stick with the Jim.
Yeah. Good afternoon.
Yeah,
It's afternoon there. Yeah, it's afternoon there, isn't it? 5 o'clock now. It's about 30 minutes behind. It's 6 o'clock here now. So
yeah, it's 8 minutes to 5 here. So yeah,
it's about an hour back a little bit. Yeah, that's So yeah, the Germanic culture, and we're all centered around very similar histories that have tied together in Europe, and it's always been a war-driven topic. So it's how it formed. The continents of Europe have been formed by our ancestors constantly combating each other for different reasons, or invasions coming from different areas of other areas of the world or other areas of Europe, and we tend to have forgotten a lot of that. And that's we're an aspect of modern life today. It's totally the topic is totally estranged from modern day our modern day culture, because we don't live in a culture where we have to worry every day when we turn the corner someone else is coming to invade our homeland. So we're not used to that kind of mindset and living anymore. And when war does happen around the corner, it's very easy to be fooled by what the media and the politicians try to sell you. And so this is a really interesting topic that we're going to be talking about today here.
Yeah, it's quite interesting as well, because a lot of people have that thought of many years ago when there was a lot of Germanic tribes and they were just barbaric and would attack each other, and that's not always the case, because when you think about it, what would you do for your children to feed them? I mean, the thing is, we don't live in them extreme situations. The Tree Man tribe, the Berserker Gang tribe, and let's say the Berserker Gang tribe's crops all failed and they had a terrible year, and they couldn't, and the old Berserker Gang here couldn't feed his people. What's he going to do? But the Tree Man tribe's had a bumper crop.
Hello, Bjorn.
The Tree
Hi
Man.
there.
The Tree Man. I'll just finish what I was saying, and then I'll let Bjorn take back over. The Tree Man tribe's had a bumper crop. Now, your old Berserker Gang's got to feed his people. He's got to feed his people. So let's go and take what the Tree Man has. You know, and it doesn't sound very nice. The problem is we live in a world today where our perception of everything is so much different that we have to put ourselves in the mindset of them people, and that's very hard to do. It even goes down to the clothes they were wearing, the tools that they use.
The whole lifestyle is totally, you can't compare it. If you've lived 2 or 3 days.
No.
Okay, I'm back.
Excellent.
Can I just say hello to some of the usual suspects here?
Yes, go ahead. I was waiting for you to do that.
Bob is here. Good morning. No, good evening. Good day. And Mr. Sorpos is here. We have lots of people here already.
Wow.
And Funky Prepper, he's a jolly Englishman, if I can say so. He has some survival prepping courses that he's teaching. Yes, it it is a bearded man hangout. It is. So lots of people here. Lots of people are joining as we speak. Okay, so we in the title it says a continent of war. We live on a continent of war. Europe, that is. And so why are we talking about that? Well, I think it matters, and I think it's overlooked by many people, especially people in North America. They seem to forget that. But we have been on and off at war, mostly with each other here in Europe, since, well, who knows when it started? Before the Romans, well, we have to go far into prehistoric times. And now we are again at war in the Ukraine. So I believe that it shapes the peoples in Europe, and it has shaped us. So for worse and for better, if you will, it's just who we are. So you could say that, and I'll just make a statement here. I think it has made us better suited for what's coming. What's coming? They are conspiring to get us, make life difficult for the little man. But what's coming? The dark winter, blackouts possibly in continental Europe, maybe even in England and Scandinavia as well. Do you guys have any opinions on this? I know you have. Please share.
I would first of all like to say that there's always a main focus on the elites. I just want to quickly get this out of the way, if that's okay. We have to remember nature is volatile. We have 7 supernova volcanoes on our planet. There's asteroids that can hit the Earth, mass coronal ejections. There are many things to prepare for, and not to dwell on them too much and be too doom and gloom about it. It's not just about, there's a big thing at the moment about the elites and prepare. It's just always good to be prepared in general, because as Bjorn was then just saying about, a continent of war, throughout history, preparing is what helped people survive.
Yeah, and certainly preparedness is very much still part of the lifestyle of many people in Europe. People again seem to forget that there are lots of countries where people lived under communism up until quite recently, and they had to make do with what they had. And when I traveled to Russia, I saw that it's quite common to have a small cabin out in the countryside, and they will almost always have a vegetable garden there, even if it's not a large plot of land, a vegetable
Yeah.
garden,
Mhm.
because
Yeah.
and they made do with what they had back then, and they still do. It's a way of life.
Mhm.
Yeah, Truman, you wanted to say something? Truman,
I,
are you there?
I, I have something to say on that, if that's okay, quickly.
Yep.
As a child growing up, I listened to many stories of people that fought in the First and Second World War. Not so much
Mm,
the first, but more the Second World War, and but also people living during them times. They used to use their front gardens to grow potatoes in. They
mm,
they grew vegetables in their front and back garden. You know, there was food rationing at the time, so growing food was important. I mean, the knowledge that they had, even about wild edibles, and also being able to grow, you know, at the end of the day, growing food can be difficult, right? But my granddad, he was blind. My granddad was blind, and I got my enjoyment of growing vegetables from my granddad. My blind granddad taught me to grow vegetables. So if people say they can't grow vegetables, you can. My granddad was blind and he could. And he could tell the difference between the plants just by feeding them. So
yeah. Mm,
yeah, so is within us. It's, you know, and I know I keep saying about this ancestral DNA business, but yeah, I think that plays a part as well. We don't fully understand that yet. It's very new science, really. Um, but the moving around of people, that it can be very chaotic, and you know, throughout time, not in short periods. Well, it can in short periods, but if you look out throughout time, how much movement, how much wars have happened, how much
mm,
people have been displaced, and I very much do think that it really started going at the birth of agriculture, when people started saying this is our land here, and I think that's, I mean, who knows? It's hard when you go back that far in history.
mm. Can I
um
just interrupt you there because I have to move on with the comments? Just wanted to say thank you very much to Bob for the super chat, and
Oh,
then we have this saying here: hard times create strong men create good times create weak men, and weak men create hard times. Yes. Sorry. Please continue.
um I think I was pretty much at the end there. I mean, I've got lots to say and could go on forever, but I think Berserker Gang's probably got stuff he would like to say himself. So I'm going to be quiet. Otherwise, that'll just be me talking
He's
about
practically
the
a
live
farmer.
stream.
So,
yeah.
hmm,
I was like a part-time farmer. I just
hmm,
don't film that because my YouTube channel people would like erase it if I click farming. This is how you plant a tree. This is what you do after you plant the tree. People don't want to see that. They want to see Hollywood action on, it's on the on. Like
yeah,
I could,
because the Vikings say, well,
yeah.
I should stop saying Vikings. It's such a big part of the essential part of Norwegian language. We say Viking, but we're really talking about the Norse, and Hollywood makes it so that all the Norse, Norse, they were all Vikings, and the Vikings were fighting all the time. Yeah, sorry, I interrupted.
No, it's good. That's absolutely the opinion. So I think Matthias had a good point where it was like he mentioned that the ancestors were planting in vegetables and whatever they could grow on their own in their backyards. I think that if the last bit of that generation has probably now just left us because of the age. They're probably over 100 years old now, most of them. And I think that knowledge, a lot of the knowledge has left too. And it's a critical point where if you were to need those skills again today, a lot of people would have to really struggle to sort out what did grandma and grandpa do back then? How did they do that? A lot of it is not written down and in no form that you can just go back and look into a book or something. So you're going to see a lot of, we talk about it all the time when we drive down the road. We see a little garden in the back, say, look, that's going to be somebody who's got the mindset to grow their own food. And then you're going to see people taking the bricks out of the sidewalk in front of the house to plant stuff there. That's what you're going to be seeing. The sidewalk will go away. There will be people putting, if it ever would come to that point again, people would be taking the bricks out of the sidewalk to plant food in the sidewalk, as it's a very, you can look down through the window, you can watch and make sure it's at the house, but that's what it's going to come to again. And that's really unrealistic for the general public to think about that today, because they can still run down to the supermarket, grab whatever they want and walk out, and it's still
Yeah, absolutely. I want to move the conversation into the dark winter, because that's the term that is being used now. We are facing a dark winter. We could have blackouts, we could have food shortage, and this and that. Do you think that's going to happen?
Well, I think there's a 50% chance. If judging by the situation of what's going on, that with my best of my perception and knowledge and understanding at the moment, I think there's a 50% chance that it's possible that for a short time we'll have a blackout, for example, for longer than just a day or two. They're saying now that the experts are even saying that the blackout could last anywhere from a week to a month, and the effects of it could actually on and on, once they try to flip the grid back on, will lead immediately to the next blackout because of all the people overloading the circuit over and over and over and over again. And so it's a very interesting being mechanically understanding a little bit about how electricity works in a house and in a infrastructure. It's a very possible scenario, and with the food shortage, and it's also one of the effects because of the energy, the fuel prices going up and the fuel availability going down, and transportation for some items has become a lot more difficult. And so I can see that certain items, especially farm-grown items, will be very hard to get. It's because of the logistical system. We'll have struggles trying to get all of those items out on time to the as usual. So I think it's 50-50, I'd say.
Yeah, some people are pointing out here that there are already food shortages in some areas. I think it's important to try to be clear about what food shortage is. Just because you don't have certain food types in one area doesn't mean that you have food shortage. When I say food shortage, I'm thinking about actually a lack of calories. So, when that starts happening, let's talk a little bit about that. When people start going hungry, when people have to put their kids to bed hungry, that's when I think you're going to see some really desperate people who are going to be willing to do desperate things. Are we going to get to that in our part of the world? You think?
Well, I think it's a real possibility. Just having you in your position, you have a family with children. I mean, it's very, very, to have that. You would understand probably better than I would what you would be able to do to keep that your family into that safe and to feed them if you needed to. But I think that here in this area, in my part of Europe where I live right here, in my immediate where I've been able to at least notice, I think that where I live will be at a better advantage. We're at a farm community, and every town around us is also a farm community. So I think the most people that will be affected immediately. Oh, what happened to Matthias? Tree Man just left us.
He said that he could have some difficulties with the Wi-Fi.
Okay. Yeah,
where
it's,
he is. There's nothing we can do about it.
we'll
He
just
fell
have to hang
into a black hole there.
Maybe his electricity just turned off.
Maybe it's a blackout, but
Blackout.
we'll
Yeah, we have to. Oh my, it's
I'm
begun.
sure that he will be back.
Okay.
Yeah. So basically, there he is. Hi there. Your connection was a bit faulty there for a few seconds, but it's
yeah,
okay.
that was. I really just wanted to say something quickly, and it's very
Yep.
short because I don't want to distract from what you. Blackouts can happen anyway, no matter what. That we have to remember that things can fail. Blackouts. I'll just mention that about blackouts. Blackouts, mechanical failure, weather related. I spoke about this yesterday, actually. So always thinking that we're always going to have a steady supply of electricity is not a good idea to think like that anyway. When we're coming up to colder weather, it's better to be somewhat prepared. It could just be 2 or 3 days without everything that's being talked about every winter. It could be in 3 years' time. Every winter's fine, and then suddenly there's a failure just in your area. Sorry to. I didn't want to. I just really wanted to
No,
say
but you're
that. That's
absolutely right. We have had blackouts here before. Usually, once a year, and it's usually during winter. Once we had a blackout for almost an entire day, and I remember it was a very cold day. And what happens, and this is not uncommon in Norway. So what happens is that the water pipes freezes, and when they thaw, is that the word? It gets warm again. You have massive damage in the house. Yeah, because they burst. And that's quite common. That's quite common here. It would be considered insane to have, for instance, a cabin up in the mountains without a wood stove here. It would be considered insane to rely on electricity only up there. So, yeah, I think one thing is the electricity. Another thing is the prices. What if people can't afford the electricity? What if people can't afford, if they have to choose between having a warm house or eating?
I think that's already what you just mentioned. There's already become a reality in some places here, especially in Germany now. Vanessa, just when she was shopping yesterday or the day before she came home, said, I can't believe what I saw at the store. I saw a lady considering buying the apple or not. And she walked up, she's like, what's wrong with the apple? She's like, the lady said, I don't know if I can afford it. So I was like, an apple, is it that? I mean, everybody's situation is a little bit individual. But then if I look at the price, because I buy a lot of, for my dog, I buy ground beef. The package is, instead of 500 grams, it's now 400 grams, and it costs €1.50 more than it did about 3 months ago. It was different price. And I'm starting to write this down just so I can focus better on, the reality of what prices are going up, the things that I regularly use, that I'm able to maintain a view on what the price is, so I don't get out of proportion reality on my own point of view. But I see it on the packages go down and the price goes up. And I think that's probably not a result of the economy. I think it's a result of the manufacturers taking advantage of the fear and the situation of the people, trying to, again, make more money. And they're going somehow into.
Yeah, absolutely. You're absolutely correct there. We are seeing it here as well. And also, let's just briefly get into a very hot topic. It's not guns. We're going to get to guns as well. We're going to get to the guns, but no, meat, 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 especially red meat. I eat a lot of red meat, and yeah, Matthias, yeah.
I just, sorry, before you move on, I just wanted to quickly say something on the topic that you guys were just talking about. I think there's a couple of things to say. For the first one, I really don't mean it in a harsh way at all. So please don't take it that way to anyone who's listening. But we have to look at the moment. Prices are going up, but we have to look at the moment what excess money we do have in regards to all of the bills that are being paid, all of the, including food, your rent, your mortgage, all the power, all of the essentials. Everything else you spend outside of that is recreational. So if you've got Amazon, Netflix, you've got a YouTube Premium, you've got that's just the internet stuff, and then you've got other recreational things.
Absolutely.
It's time to start reining some of that in. If you're saying if you get to the point when you're saying I cannot afford food or electricity, but you're spending money on other things, it's yes, we're living in a world where even the people who are in a not poor, I guess there's a lot, that range is quite big. There's some people who are very poor and are struggling right at the moment. They don't have excess money. And then there's the other end of the poor, which do have excess money, and they do have 10 points on a Friday night, which is quite a lot of money. I'm not talking against alcohol here. I'm just saying 10 pints of beer is a lot of money if you're going to the pub every Friday. If your family's struggling for food and electricity, then you shouldn't have 10 pints or whatever else there is. So I think for some of us, we can't complain. Well, we can't. It's not nice to lose some of these extra things we have in life, but we've got to remember people within that poor bracket. If you went back 100 years ago or so or more, you have more now than what they had then. The people living in the same sort of areas, you have more than what they had then. So yes, things are going up in price. I mean, I spoke to you about a week ago or so, didn't I, Bjorn? And my electricity price is the same amount as what my rent is, nearly. So yes, I'm noticing the prices going up, and I'm sure other people are too, and the prices in the shop. But I just wanted to say about that, if we have excess, then we have to pull back. What matters is the essentials for our family. So sorry, I did, before you moved on to the next topic, guns, I believe it was, I just wanted to say that.
Yeah, I was just quickly going to say a few words about something that I have been thinking about quite a lot, but I don't see nearly anyone else talking about it. It's this. People will start buying cheap food, or what they believe is cheap food, and that will be unhealthy food based on carbs. It's going to have a devastating effect on the health of people, and especially the mental health. Now, people can look this up if they want to, but if you eat, and this is not going to be about diet, but if you eat a lot of meat, fish, and some vegetables, and you stay away from the huge amounts of carbs that people consume these days, you're going to feel better also mentally. So I worry about the health of the general population will get much worse because of this, because we are what we eat. And I think that matters, and it's that in itself will be an extra expense for all of us through the tax bill, because people will get sick and go to hospital. Just wanted to.
Yeah, especially like the fatty oils in the fish, the omega-3, and then that helps what you say with the mental and physical health a lot. And our intelligent the mind, the brain, the evolvement of the brain, they say, is based on the nutrition that was available due to hunting and fishing, that was able to expand and become develop into the brain we have today just because of our nutrition, this based of more meat-based diet. So that's a very important fact you mentioned there.
Yeah, and also they are pushing this idea that if you eat only plant-based food, you will be healthier, which, if you look at the facts, isn't really true. But let's move on here. Yeah, you know what? I'll just add this comment: the return of scurvy.
Yes, that's another one. Yeah.
If you eat all, people think that if you eat too much meat, you can get scurvy. Well, maybe not so much, but that anymore. But people used to think that. Well, actually, if you eat only processed carbs and you stay away from the vegetables and fish and so on, then
Vitamins.
you can get scurvy, actually, which is not a nice thing to have.
Stinging nettles, that'll help.
Yeah, yeah. Wild edibles, Matthias. You know a bit about that.
Yeah. Well, apparently years ago, sailors would eat. Well, apparently years ago, sailors would eat nettles because obviously, pound for pound, stinging nettles have more vitamin C in them than oranges do, and there's other nutrients you have out of stinging nettles, and they don't taste that bad actually.
The seeds are actually very good for you too. When they grow to the point where the seeds are on the top, you can make a lot of very nutritious meals out of those. And stinging nettles are great fertilizer for your garden as well. If you can make absolutely awesome fertilizers out of those. If you don't eat them, you can make fertilizer for your garden.
Yeah, well, I should, I usually get a little bit. Yeah, go on.
Don't eat them while they're in flower because they. Sorry.
Go on.
Yeah, don't eat them while they're in flower because they can be act like a laxative. So only while they're in flower. Once they're finished flower, is fine.
Yeah. I did get some comments there. People are not so positive towards me promoting eating red meat, but doesn't matter. Yeah, okay. So, but anyway, let's leave that and move on. We will now be discussing a rather interesting topic. SHTF. The zombies are coming. It's a total grid down, and it's like in the Hollywood movies. Now, I don't know about you guys, but my guns have an unlimited supply of ammo.
Oh yeah, mine too. Yeah.
Magically, I can shoot like 1,000 bullets without recharging. No,
yes,
seriously, I'm just kidding, of course. Now we're going to get into not so much the guns, but the hot topic that is: should I stay or should I go? Should we stay or should we go? So should you bug in or should you bug out? And this is something that annoys me. I get annoyed at these people, you see. And when I get annoyed, I have to tell everyone about it. So here's what I think. If you think that you're going to be left alone, sitting there with your supplies, when I'm not talking about a grid down in the electric grid or anything like that. I'm talking about a proper Hollywood style collapse of society, I think you're not going to be left alone. I think people will come to your door, and then this idea that you will then defend what you have with your guns is
all by yourself.
Yeah, or with your group, your group of people who will always be you can trust them and all that. It's naive. You might be able to do that for a while, but the biggest threat, as I see it, in such a scenario, won't be people like normal people. It will be the government. And I'm not saying that as a conspiracy nut, but if we go back to the Second World War, what did they do? Well, they took stuff from people. Did you know that if you had a sailing boat with a keel at least in, Einstein, he fled, but he had a little sailing boat. And I always say the National Socialists, because YouTube apparently doesn't like the what I'm,
Mhm.
if you
The
know
other
what I
one.
mean,
Mhm.
that word. They took his sailing boat and several other sailing boats because they wanted the lead in the keel. Um, the government, whoever that be, if it's an occupying power or your own government, they will take what they need. There are laws actually at least in Norway, saying that they can take your car if they need to, if they
Yeah,
feel that they need
the
to.
same
Yeah.
same here. Yeah, in Germany
Yeah.
too.
So are you then going to defend your property, which is an honorable thing to do, in theory?
Hmm.
But are you going to do that against the government? Are you going to it's naive, because if you don't give them what they want, which is something that people don't like to hear this. I don't like to say it, but they will come back, and there will be a lot of them. So you will die trying to defend what you have. So my take on this is that, and the more I see of what's happening in the Ukraine and other places in around the globe, is that most likely you will have to move, you will have to relocate, and possibly by foot. That's my rather long introduction to this. Especially the Americans, they hate me for saying this. They hate me because it goes against their uh, their thing.
Ideology, I guess, maybe a little bit, you could say.
Yeah.
I
So
think everyone
I'll
has to remember that.
yeah, go on. Is there a delay?
I think it's just our opinion. It's yeah, there's a bit of lag on the internet there. It's just our opinion. There's no need to get really annoyed over it. We're entitled to an opinion, and you're certainly entitled to yours. Maybe it's worthwhile listening to what someone else has to say, because you never know. If you never listen to what other people have to say, then you're never going to gain any wisdom. And it's not honourable to die a silly death either. And if people say, it's not the Viking way, for a start, like, I'm not a Viking, but what, you think the Vikings never retreated in battle, or never decided that they wouldn't engage in a battle? It goes with all armies. All courageous fighting men, armies have retreated at some point. That's not a dishonourable thing to have to retreat. And of course, we want to defend what we've got. I understand that. The things that you own, the house that you live in, you've worked hard for that, and you should be entitled to have it and live there in safety and peace. But the thing is, the problem is right. Me, as earlier when Bjorn went off, me and Berserker Gang were talking about perception. Our perception of the world is what it is right now. We do not understand. Maybe the people living in Ukraine have a better understanding of what this could be like than what I do right now. All I can do is assume and speculate, because I mean, any scenario you think of, if things did really go wrong, it'll probably be much different to what you think it's going to be. And if you're especially advertising on the internet that you've got a stockpile of a year or two worth of food, I mean, do you think the government doesn't know that you haven't got that? And if the government knows that you've got that, then if they want to take it, they can. You may have lots of guns, and I'm sure if someone like me came along and tried to take it, you'd be able to defend yourself with your guns. But the military have advanced, technologically much more advanced equipment than what you've got. They could just send a drone. They got drones that can fire missiles, and they didn't have to even get close to you if they really want to take you out.
They don't have to even to come when you're home. They know when you're at work. That's the best possibility. They'll come arrest you there, and then they'll just take out your house, with no problem. So that's the one thing you got to think about too.
I just highlighted a comment there. I think it was aimed at me. Ironwood Workman thinks I'm a fool because he knows from experience you can fight the government and win. I think we have a real hero here. Um, and and here's we the people. We are not going anywhere. We will stand and fight. And may I add, and die. Sorry to say that, but some people need to wake up a little bit. So I'm sitting right now at the desk that used to belong to my
Can I quickly say
grandfather.
something on that?
Yes, yes, yeah, sure.
When Germany decided to go into France, or any country that took over, the people that stood and fought, do you think that they won? Could they take on the government of Germany, even if they had guns? I bet, yeah, some of them definitely had guns. Well, they tried to stand and fight. Well, they got killed if they stood and fought against them. If you can't stand and fight against the government. It's, if you really believe that, and I'm sorry to say it, but if you really believe that, you really need to stop being so overconfident. Because I tell you what, being confident in life is a good thing. And I've always been a confident person in anything I try or do, but overconfidence leads to mistakes.
Yeah, I'm going to give people a little bit of a reality check here. Um, when I said that the government will come to your house and they will take what you have if they want to. And there's another part of this that we're not talking so much about, and maybe we should. Then let's move on to. Please remind me. We'll have to move on to the hiking and hiking for health, and and also being able to be mobile and so on, because I think it's key for surviving and thriving in a situation like that. But let me tell you this: I'm sitting right now at the desk that used to belong to my grandfather. He was I haven't been given all details. Maybe he took some secrets with him in the grave. He was connected to the resistance here in Norway, and I also had a relative who was killed. He was shot by the occupying forces, the occupying force here. There's a secret compartment in this desk where my grandfather used to keep uh, pamphlets, I think it's called, like small, not a magazine, but a pamphlet. Is that the word? Yeah.
Yes.
With information from because information was controlled by the occupying National Socialists here. But the real danger is not that you're going to get an armed conflict, people who come and attack you. The real danger is the division you will see among people. That happens when you get hard times. It always happens. People will want what you have, and also they will what's the word, snitch on
Yeah,
you.
to point at you that he look over there. He's got what look at him.
Yeah, and
The late
here's what the the people in power in such a situation, historically speaking, they find it much more useful
yeah
to grab someone you care about. They will actually do that. And during this occupation here, they would grab maybe your wife, maybe your daughter, and throw her in jail. And who knows how many of them were raped there. And you wouldn't know what happened. You wouldn't know if you would see them again. This is something that people need to keep in mind. These people you will have to deal with have there is nothing good in them. They have no morals, no scruples. Scruples, is that the word? Um, and it will be truly, truly horrific, horrible. This idea, please, everyone who have the attitude, we will stand and fight. No, you won't stand and fight. You will be sitting there crying because you don't know where your wife is, because she was grabbed, pushed into a car. Maybe we'll never see her again. That's the reality. Families are split, torn apart, and you will see that the division you will see also within families, actually. So yeah,
I
my
think
little
that's very accurate too. The way you're just explaining that, it's in our history not too long ago, probably the last 20 years ago, before the fall of the Berlin Wall. It was very similar.
Hmm.
You had people, you had spies that worked for the western part of Germany over in East Germany, and if they found that somebody was against the law, they would kidnap someone and take them straight to jail. Or if your neighbors, they heard you play music that you weren't supposed to have, they sent you the Stasi. They'd knock in your door and take your place apart and arrest you. And I think that right now we've seen the best of that just recently in the last 3 years with what's been going on in the world. People snitching on people having visits at the house they weren't supposed to have during a I have to be careful with words, but I think we can understand what we're talking about here. It's to the point where it's very realistic that something like that can happen, and everything, like you've mentioned before, all the tools are now in place for them to use this again, or even at an extent that we have not seen yet. All the tools are in place for them to simply strike whenever they want with what it is that they need to do. So
yeah, practically everything you do, every conversation you've had, has been stored somewhere if you have a smartphone. That's just the reality. So there you go. We have a lack of moderators here. We need to get rid of some trolls. I'll see if we can make Fish Tank, maybe. Do you want to be a moderator? Let's see here. I'll just have to sort that out. Sorry for the delay there. And let's see. You don't have to, Fish Tank, you don't have to be a moderator. But if you want to, you can now get rid of people's comments. So, okay.
Can I jump in with what you guys were just talking about quickly?
Sure.
And because this ties back into the title of the history. People out there, look, you guys that in America, not all. I'm not saying all Americans, by the way. So you guys are great. I'm not saying anything. But you guys that are against this opinion about what we're saying about standing and fighting in your home. Why listen to what we have to say on the subject? Well, all three of us love the history of Germanic people going back a long way, and each one of us have studied it to some varying degree. Our continent has had this going on over and over and over and over again. And I mean, no offense to America, have you had that how many times? And that's not me being rude. What I mean is, if you know European history, maybe you might think differently. I mean, have real knowledge, not just I've read one book about European history. You have to study it quite deeply, how things happened. It's littered within our history, and it repeats dangers. It's the same thing over and over again for thousands of years, and you guys in America, you haven't had that. Not rare. You had the Civil War and the War of Independence. That's it. Just twice, really.
Yeah.
That's all I've got to say about that.
Yeah. No disrespect to the Americans. I love America.
No.
And I have several online friends who are Americans. But I think we speak with a little bit of authority here as Europeans, because we have had war on our soil several times up through the years. It's been on and off. there is something wrong with us. I think we we can't. There's something wrong with us because we always seem to end up in war. I think you English are the worst. It's like
So
it's like
I get the blame for my ancestors' chairs. Thanks.
I shouldn't say anything about this because of the
Yeah.
Norse and all
Yeah.
that. They had an impact on the world back then. Uh, but
I think
you
we were
know,
happy until the Scandinavians came over. We were getting along quite nice for a few hundred years, and the Scandinavians came over.
yeah. But then again, I think being humble is quite important. Learning from history is important, and I think that it is immensely valuable to have spoken to people who lived during occupation. Actually, I have, and it's something I can never forget. You know, and I'll tell you one story. It's because it ties into this. In again the Second World War, my grandmother, she told me that there was a prison camp not far from where she lived, where they kept Russian prisoners of war, and they were starving. So this was in Norway, and they were starving, and they used to make elaborate pieces of art and figures out of rubbish, you know, that they found in where they were kept, and they would push it out under the fence, hoping that people who passed by would give them food in return. So they would work for hours probably on something like that just to get literally a piece of bread. I think it's something that we should think about a little bit. It doesn't take long to end in a situation like that. And that's why I think that relocating or knowing when to move on, when to get what you can carry and move is wise. It should be an option for everyone. And the ability to walk with what you need, your essentials in a backpack, not only you, but your entire family, is quite important. I think you can't call yourself a prepper, actually. I've stopped calling myself a prepper because of what that has become now. But I think you can't call yourself a prepper if you can't hike for several days, one day after the other, with a backpack. That's my opinion on this, because you might have to do that. So, any opinions on that?
Yeah, I really do agree.
Go ahead.
Sorry, there's a delay, isn't there? There's a delay
Yeah,
in
go ahead.
there. I think it's my internet. I think something that's came apparent to me, and it's actually through watching Bjorn's videos on his main channel, is I went through some health problems, came unfit. Oh, am I back again? Yeah, I'm back again. Yeah, I became unfit, and that still stands now. I need to become fit, more healthy, fitter. The thing is people don't understand. I know I've hiked for a long time. That I've hiked throughout my life, throughout my childhood. You know, even if it was just fishing as a child along the river, hiking along as I go along the river for miles, and then having to walk miles back. Yeah, but carrying everything that you need and getting the weight right for a start, because you'll soon know about it if you've got a massive bug out bag full of loads of stuff and you put it on at home and you think, yeah, I could walk down the road with that. You try doing that for miles. The thing is let alone to be stealthy about it or anything like that. But being able to move is a lifesaver, in my opinion. I really do believe that, because in my current situation, if a big thing happened, I hate using that word, that the sh. That's another one of them blooming things like preppers and all of that I'm starting to get annoyed with using the words, to be honest. But yeah, if something big did happen, I would have to get out of here because my location is not safe. I'm not extremely rural like some guys. You guys are quite rural, well, much more rural than I am. So I need to get I have prepared underneath my TV cabinet the stuff to go. Some people who ever see that think I'm a crazy person, but that's stuff to go, and that's stuff that's lightweight and enough to get me going. Not masses of gear, not 6 knives and stuff, but and yeah, sorry, I'm getting carried away here. I believe that hiking is an essential part of if a situation happened, and if that never happens, then it's going to keep you healthy. We are meant to be able to walk for long distance. That's what we're designed for. It gets you in nature. Humans could walk. I could right now, even though I need to get myself back into hiking properly, I could now walk to the coast from here. The coast is about 20 miles away from me, 26 miles. I could get there right now. I could leave right now and get there. But I tell you, I would feel it. I would really feel it. I know I would, because I haven't a couple of years out, and you think, oh, that's all right. I'll just for the rest of your life never do it again, never go hiking again. I tell you, just 2 or 3 years out is enough to make you unfit.
Yeah, absolutely.
Why not?
I just wanted to highlight a comment here from Andrea. She says that as an American, I love our spirit of freedom and our willingness to defend it. Yeah, me too. Even though I'm not American, but I love that part of the American attitude. And Andrea is also saying, but I think we do have a Rambo complex. Remember that there are other ways to fight, keeping our spirit alive and teaching. Absolutely. So, oops. J.H. Turesson says hiking is the best exercise of them all. It even stimulates the brain. It is true. Søren Kierkegaard, famous philosopher, he always he went hiking or walking. He loved walking because he said that's when you think when you walk. And let's see here. Luke and Mom is here. Great channel. You have 350 miles to the coast from here. You know what? Good point. Thanks for reminding us, because this is quite important. We sitting here, especially Matthias and I, but also you, Berserker Gang, we are coastal people. We can get quite easily to the coast. I live right at the coast. And it always was that's where we went when things became difficult. And this I have to say this idea. Oh, are you? Because I hear this sometimes. I see this sometimes. I thought you were a Viking, and now you're talking about fleeing. The Vikings fled all the time, and that's what the ocean was for. They, if things got a little bit problematic, they had a habit of leaving. Hence, Iceland and Greenland, and but let's not get into the history there. But Yeah, we live by the coast, and that shapes our attitude because we there is something about being at the coast, being of a coastal people and a coastal tradition versus being inland bound, like 350 miles inland. Most of the times you can't choose because that's where you were born. So the strategy that you need to apply will be very different if you live right smack in the middle of North America versus if you live for instance, in England, not far from the coast. And a lot of people are saying here that, well, you can't bug out in England because it's so crowded. Well, first of all, I disagree with that. It might not be perfect, but it's better than staying put in the city. But also, you can hike to the coast, and there are boats there. You can leave by boat to islands or even further. Takes only a little bit of inventiveness. Yes, yes.
Obviously, as an Englishman, I can talk about bugging out in England. So
Mm.
it may not be the ideal situation. Yeah, it may not. I know lots of secret places. Not every place is a secret here. It's not very big, but there are. I mean, I know woods where no one goes to.
Mm.
No one goes to, and I go to them. Yes, okay. England, what 67 million people live in England alone. Bugging out, yeah, it could be possibly dangerous. It could end my life. But what should I do? Should I just give up and be like, oh, I'll just stay at my home then and die? You know, if they're in that situation I'm talking about, or do I say no? I'm going to do my best. I'm going to try and protect my family, and all I can do is do my best. And I go out and I try. On my friend who's very close to me, we have a secret location place. If anything bad ever happens, that we'll meet up, so that we have, we have males to defend us. My son is nearly 21. He's a big lad. We'll have to do our best. Yes, it's not
Yes.
ideal. You can bug out in England. Some people are going to survive. Maybe I won't be one of them, but someone will survive. Maybe I'll be one of them. If but that's that whole thing, that you have to think about. If you, I don't know if who's saying them comments, if you live in England yourself, or whether you just live outside of England and then have never explored England in depth like I have. Yes,
And
it's not ideal.
here's what I think. Not a lot of people will be willing to leave their homes, and not a lot of people will be able to do that. Most people, especially in my experience, the people who act very tough, they're not so tough when they're cold, wet, and it's dark outside, because it gets very dark out in the wilderness where there are no electric lights anywhere. It gets very dark out there. Lots of ghosts and strange noises in the woods.
And zombies.
Yeah, zombies. Oh, yes, yes. um, so let's see here. I think what we will do now is we will. There are lots of opinions here, which is wonderful. We appreciate almost all opinions. But what even better is now if you have some questions to this magnificent panel of experts. You do know, of course, that we know everything.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, we are experts on everything. So you can ask anything here.
Put on my thinking cap here. Hold on.
Yes.
So I'm ready. This is my tinfoil helmet.
I am keeping my eyes on the chat. Let's see if we get some questions here.
Save the best for last, I guess, huh?
I think it's very wise to be a student and to remain a student. That's the attitude you should have. When you stop learning, that's when you start losing. Um, let's see here. Yeah, this is not a serious question, but Man F is asking, should I turn to eating grubs instead of steak? To those who don't know, if you're Norwegian, maybe grubs is worms and stuff like that. Yeah. Should I reply?
Does it need a reply?
Please don't do that. No, it's not good for you. Don't do that. So, let's see here. There are no questions? Let's see. There are so many comments here. Yeah. We the people is asking, why did almost all of Europe give up their guns? Oh, their guns. Yeah, our guns. Well, I can tell you the situation in Europe is that we don't have any power or freedom. There are 11 guns in Europe, and they are kept in a museum, and we pay money to go and look at those guns. I myself, I've never seen anyone with a gun. I've never touched a gun. I've never heard a gun. I've never, yeah, because we gave them all up, and because we don't have the Second Amendment. So we are an inferior species here, actually. Yeah. No, seriously.
I saw a gun in a book once.
You saw one in a book? A gun?
Yeah, I saw a gun in a book once. Yeah.
So it up and then there's a gun in there. Yeah.
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 Can you guys answer to this, please? Because I'm a little bit.
Look, at the end of the day, Europe's got lots of guns. Right, my other grandparents had a farm. He had shotguns, rifles. I mean, well, they're not guns, but he had crossbows, and so many. I mean, can't you remember in the news that person robbed? I think I don't know if I could say his name, but there was a farmer that was robbed some years ago. I think it may have been in the late 90s or the early 2000s, and he shot the guy in the leg. Farmers have guns, and other people have guns, and there's illegal guns. There's lots of guns in England. There's lots of guns in other countries in Europe. Yes, okay, we don't have guns like you do, like, walking into the supermarket and there's guns in for sale in there, or, I'm sure I've seen that. Yes, we don't have that. But to be honest with you, I don't want a gun. I don't. I mean, would I, if I was allowed to have one, would I have one? Yes. Do I really like guns? No. Do you know what? I really hate the thought. I've heard some people say gun is the equalizer. I'm a nature man. That doesn't go for me. I would rather, if some like sickly sort of thin person or some really obese person sweating and panting with breath shot me, I'd be such a disappointed person that I died by. I would rather use my own strength and rely on my own body in physical contact rather than someone that to me it seems like I'm not saying people who are in the army, I'm just saying people in general. I think it's more of a dishonorable death for me. That's just my personal opinion, so don't be insulted anyone, please.
Yeah.
I would rather rather than being taken down by an equalizer. How's that natural? Let's put it this way: if really weak people and obese people shoot all of the physically strong people in the world, that's going to leave a lot of good for rebuilding, if you understand what I mean. I'm not having to go at people who are obese, by the way. I know some of you guys are probably working hard to lose weight and stuff like that. Just an example that I don't like the thought of an equalizer is not natural. That's against nature. and I'm a nature
I
guy.
absolutely agree on
So,
that.
yeah,
I'm,
and
yeah, go on. Yeah, no, I'm
no, I'd finished. I thought I'd hand it over. But
yeah, well, I would say, first of all, there are so many guns in Europe. I would say especially in Eastern Europe and Scandinavia. And in Scandinavia, in rural areas, there are at least one gun in almost every house. Um, and I think, if anything, there are too many guns here. Too many stupid people here have guns. I've shot among them 44. Uh, and I don't think they will put me in jail for saying this, but that was at a party many years ago. Many years ago. Um, I didn't shoot at anyone. It's not because I was angry or something like that, but they wanted to see if can you hold it? Because there was like a gun nut who had lots of guns. He had so many guns. It was sick. But anyway, legal guns, but not so legal to have me shoot it in. Well, enough about that. Yeah, so
I got
lots
a
of guns.
black eye once from a gun.
Oh, that's not nice.
I got a black eye once from a gun.
Yeah.
When I was a child, me and my cousin decided we would shoot some rifles, and I put the scope right up to my eyeball, like right there to shoot it.
Yeah. Well, but
That's
there
how good
are
us Englishmen at shooting.
yeah, so there are lots of guns here, and it's a myth that we don't have guns. We gave up our guns. There are so many. Also, I know at least in Norway, it's probably the same in other countries. So many illegal guns here. It's a big problem. So they are starting a gun amnesty uh, this coming winter, and it's going to last for 6 months. But I doubt it. I don't think people will hand in their guns. Maybe some old hunting rifles that were never registered, maybe. But yeah, let's see here. Um, so I'll answer this one from Denmark. Per, as if the criminals will hand over their guns now, obviously they won't. I don't think anyone is expecting that, but people who might hand over their guns are typically someone who inherited a shotgun from his grandfather, things like that. Yeah, but they are trying. They are trying to get. They are trying. Let's see here. Yeah, and also, as you said, Matthias, I don't like this idea that it's the great equalizer. It's not good for me, or you, or any of us, because we would be much better off if guns did not exist, we would be better off, because, I could probably fold most people in half. So, my thoughts on the monarchy. I don't like them.
Very
We'll
good.
move on. Parasites. Are there any questions? So many opinions here.
Well, you look good, Bjorn. I'll just say something about opinions. If
Yeah.
us guys are saying our opinions, doesn't mean Bjorn, Berserker Gang, myself. We're just talking opinions here. So if anyone's watching and they don't like it, if you don't like it, that's fine. And I don't think it's bad if you comment that you don't agree. But there's some people disrespectfully comment. I hope they're still not at the moment.
They are.
If you don't agree with us, that's not a big deal, is it?
I don't
they
think
are,
you
are they?
can see the
If you
comments.
disagree, I can't see the comments now.
I can see the chat, you see, and they're.
So I'd just like to say is, don't get angry or get annoyed or feel like you have to be disrespectful in the comments. If you don't agree, that's fine. That's life. we're not all going to agree on everything, and we're entitled to our opinion. And you are yours too. Maybe afterwards you should rewatch it and just listen to every single thing that we had to say. I think that's the problem. If you live streams are a funny thing, and they're always worth watching twice. Yeah, you
I'll
may
show
think,
you
what,
what I'm
twice?
getting here.
Seriously, live streams are
Yeah, I
worth
saw
watching
that one too.
twice.
Oh, you can see that. You can see. Can you guys see
They pop up when you highlight a comment. We see that as well.
Oh
Yeah,
yes, when I yes, but I have to do that.
We ain't got the Russians have taken my energy, and at the moment this room is lit up by candles. By the way, just to let you know.
Yeah. Well,
Candles.
it's like this. I try not to be too absolutist or to be too absolute in my opinions about America, because I've only been to New York and Los Angeles and up the coast in California. So how would I know what's I don't know so much about America. I've never been there. I wish people would apply the same to other countries.
I think you hit the nail on the head there, really, Bjorn. There's a big difference between America. There's a bit of a difference between Americans and Europeans. We are slightly different people. We've been separated by time, and your culture has grown in a different way to what ours is. Ours has stayed very sort of still in the old ways, if you will. With a lot of things, you just look at a lot of bushcrafters still really enjoy doing things a more traditional way. There's a lot of that go on in Europe. I'm not saying that doesn't go on in America, but in Europe there's a very big sort of like, we like to delve into the past and into our roots, and we're on our land, the continental Europe of our ancestors have been here for thousands and thousands of years. So there is a cultural divide. So I think it applies both ways, that we have to respect that we may think differently from you guys, and even behave differently from you guys, if you know what I mean. And I don't mean that in a disrespectful manner at all. I would like to see things in America. I don't dislike America, and if I came across like that at all, that's not at all what I think of Americans. That I don't think all Americans. I mean, there's some English people who are complete fools. There's fools in every country, and
absolutely.
That's just the way it is.
Yeah, I'll just going to comment here to Douglas. I don't know how old you are, Douglas. Go and try to look into respect, what that is. None of us here have asked for your respect, because we are closely connected to our heathen ancestry. So we will not ask to be respected or expect to be. We will not ask to be respected or expect to be respected. We're going to live in such a way that we earn it, and we actually don't care if you don't respect us. So do some reading and educate yourself and grow up. Now, actually, it was not the Russians who took our energy. At least, well, yes, Germany, yes, that was actually the case. But I have what is a beef with English? Is that what you say?
When you have stress with somebody.
Yeah, I do. You English, you took our energy.
Yeah.
Because
we did, yeah.
You did.
We did.
Our fine politicians, they put the cable across the North Sea, and the day after, the prices started rising dramatically. So you English bastards, I can't. That's the situation, actually.
So
no,
I'm in the.
Yeah.
I'll be back.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're going to wrap this up very soon now. Let's see here. if there are any questions. Um, okay. I'll just throw a guy out here.
It
So
seems we can't see the live chat, but it seems that a lot of people get that. I think there's some of you got some. Not obviously, there's a large part. You guys and who are commenting that are really good guys, and this has always been a great community ever since I first came in. Maybe I think you've got some anger issues with some of these comments. They could, that, like, just looking at this Douglas. You could say, do you think Russia has taken your energy and so on? You could do it in a respectful way. Grow up.
it's very difficult for some people, and it also shows a lack of knowledge. Now, actually, the situation here, this is a good question from Kelikaku Kotin. I hope that I pronounced it correctly. Is asking if the world goes to pot, will Norway's oil economy insulate it from attack? Has the Russian oil embargo affected Norway's economy in a positive way? Oh, yeah. The Norwegian state is getting very rich now. Very, very rich. And because the prices have risen dramatically on gas and oil from the North Sea. So yes, it's all good, for the Norwegian state. The sad part is, of course, that Norwegians are now sadly part of the European free market for energy. So the prices have gone up for us as well. But the Norwegian state is getting rich. And the Norwegian Prime Minister has been asked several times by European state leaders if he is willing to lower the price because of the energy crisis, and he has. He's a moderate, nice man, and I've never seen him like that. He just says no, no. So apparently, yeah,
I'm a politician that's not lying, right?
Yeah, it's like in the past, we had a minister for fishing, and he was so set on this thing that Norway is not part of the EU, and he would not allow any fishermen from the EU traveling up north to our ocean and fish here. So his nickname was No Fish, because he wouldn't give a single fish away. So it's like this again. So yeah, I don't know if it's so nice, but it is. Well, it is what it is. It's Störe. Dracula Störe. Why Dracula? I've never heard that before. Okay. Oh, good question. What's your favorite food to take in a backpack?
Bacon.
Pizza. No,
and
just
my coffee.
Unfortunately, in England, jerky isn't as cheap as it is in America, but I quite like taking jerky with me. It's light, and I like it. I like the taste of it. And it's red meat.
Yeah. Berserker Gang, is it the heads of your enemies in your backpack?
Yeah, the soup. I have a video on that. I think I made a video with soup, and I said, "What's your favorite ingredient?" And I was thinking, the bones of my enemies. I put that in my soup. It was like a small joke, and I can't forget it because it was so funny, because it came so unexpectedly, and it was just.
Yeah, I must admit, I go for the hiking food that is it's dried, so it's very lightweight, and just pour boiled water in it. I actually like it a lot. It's very tasty. So it's not very bushcrafty, if you will, but I I have to hide it here in the house because my son he takes it sometimes and for lunch. But um, oh, let's see here. Um, I'll just scroll up. I'm asking if anyone has a question, but I get most of the thing here. Most of the comments in the chat are opinions. People have some strong opinions on everything. It seems. Okay. I know Mr. Sorpos is very experienced with the outdoors. He says
Dried
he
fruits,
enjoys
yeah.
dried fruits.
I
Um,
carry
yeah,
usually like a mix of nuts and dried fruits. I find the dried fruits is good sugar.
yeah. Um, John Baxter is saying something here about, are you going to bug out with all gold and silver weighing you down? That's a good point. And we were talking about guns. And I think actually that if you have a gun, it's great. It's an advantage if you know how to use it. But if you're going to have to relocate, if you have to relocate, you can carry a rifle. Rifles are, of course, a little bit heavy, but people do carry them when they go hunting for hunting trips and so on. But how much ammunition are you going to bring? It's heavy. Ammunition is heavy. So at the end of the day, it's it's not like in the movies where you have like a never ending supply of bullets out there. So people should take that into account as well. Um, I'm an archer, and I know that you can hunt with a bow. You can defend yourself with a bow. Well, defend is not the right word because it's very much an attacking weapon from a distance, of course. But yeah.
Another aspect is also if you use a firearm in a situation where you're trying to save your life, you instantly alarm everybody within, I'd say, a kilometer of your location that can hear you. Just fire that gun, and it's going to attract attention to you immediately. So you never know what kind of situation will erupt out of that.
Absolutely. And if again, you look at war situations in war, you never really had, well, not never, but they would try to avoid shooting. Of course, not when you have a conflict, ongoing conflict, like in an area, and you have that a battle, of course. But in I guess you would call that guerrilla warfare, because it reveals you. Of course, there are silencers. Is that what you call it, and so on? But most people, they don't have that, you know. So again, there are so many things to take into account, and to be honest, I don't know how I don't know how things are going to turn out, but I would guess that we're going to see a gradual decline for a few years now into something not as good as what we were used to, if you know what I mean. But here's a question from Andrea. Yeah, she's asking, can you please speak to grouping together and building community versus staying to ourselves? Yeah, I think it's important. I'll
Yes.
to group together. Yes, you guys, do you want to say something about that?
First of all, you need to know what. This is something that you should probably have planned maybe the last 5-6 years ago, and to know who is mostly going to be your close family. That's probably the best choice right off the back, is people that live in your house for a long time, or your family, because getting people from outside to come in and knowing where all of your how it works when a situation goes down to an emergency, so they don't take advantage of you in the end, because you never know. Going back to the conversation we had earlier, when desperate people will go do anything, you have to have the people in your group that understand, like family or two families together, something in that manner, different for everybody, of course. But when you build a group, you also want to bring skill sets, individual people have certain skill sets to be able to hold that group together if you have to travel, or if you have emergency, or if you have certain things that are required to be done. Those individuals can execute those tasks without. So everybody brings to the group basically something. That's, if you're going to build a group, that's what you're going to look at. Everybody learns basic skills, and you have individual people learn specialty things. One people would be where everybody would learn basic first aid, for example, and then you'd have somebody with basic hunting and fishing, basic food preparation. Then you have someone specially with who's a blacksmith, for example, or someone who with special skills, just something that would be useful in a situation like that. And so that takes careful planning and practice. You have to get together and practice. I mean, just basically get a situation to where it's a real life scenario. It's okay, this just happened. Let's see what happens. How can we react to this? And know that you can rely on those people. That's very, very difficult.
Yeah,
You have some
I would also say
experience.
that, yeah, I would say that if you come to Scandinavia, if you're trying to find group up with people that you don't know, you can try to read their faces. And this is an angry Scandinavian, and this is a happy Scandinavian. So Scandinavian smile. We have talked about that before today, Matthias. Yeah. So big difference there.
I
yeah. Yeah.
I just would like to say, if there's people watching who are not subscribed to Berserker Gang, he has some experience in constructing, like, would you call it, Berserker Gang, a Viking village? That's what you say is kind of thing that you're making there. Building wooden structures, building. I haven't got experience in that. Even though I've done a lot of woodwork throughout my life. So you kind of have more of an I can't say the word now, perception and understanding, and you've had hand-on experience in building something in that kind of style that, do you understand where I'm coming from?
As everybody will be, of course, everybody has, like I said, everybody has basic tool knowledge, and then everybody's going to have something that they're really good at that they're going to bring to the group. Someone be able to cook food very well. That's a skill that you definitely would need to have, even if you don't have a lot of resources. You want someone to be able to make a delicious meal out of what's on the table, or else it won't. It's one of the commodities that you'll be missing very quickly in a situation to where you're out of your comfort zone from your house and your home. And I would say that it's been, everybody's got their own path that they've been on, some learning, whatever it is they learn, and to bring that to the group it's a valuable asset to have people who can.
Doctors or nurses are very valuable, extremely valuable, and vets. People with that kind of knowledge. As well. I think we're going to call this a day. I think we've had a wonderful live stream here. Okay. Is there anything you guys want to add?
Yeah, I would. I would first of all would like to apologise if I jumped over anyone. My internet lags so much that sometimes it sounds like everyone goes quiet, and then I go to speak, and then someone's still speaking. So if I've spoken over any of you guys, I apologise for that. And one thing I would like to say is it's a privilege and an honour to come on a live stream with two wonderful people, great people, that I've got to know over the last year and a half or so, and benefit from it in a good way. So you have a good impact on my life. So I just wanted to say thank you, and I feel thank you is all I guess I really wanted to say, and thank you to you guys as well. You're such a wonderful community.
Yeah, I've been looking at the chat here, and we did get some trolls and haters, but most of the comments in the chat are from people who are, I mean, you are great. It's, I mean, I, I, I get very positive actually when I see all these comments, um, and I am very happy that we were able to well entertain you, a little bit, and bring some discussion and to your screen, and to talk about these topics. I think it is important to have we get music, an open mind, to always remain as a student, never settle completely with what you think you know. Um, be a reader, a student of nature, life, and be curious. I think it's so important. Um, so yeah, Berserker Gang, is there something you want to add?
No, like you said, forever a student. That's a mindset of myself as well. And we learn new things all the time, and I'm always on the search for new skills and new information. And I have a saying that in order to be able to have a good opinion, you should always question your opinion over and over and over again. And if you can always intellectually challenge your opinion and come to the same conclusion, for that time being, you have a good opinion. But your experience in life keeps going, and you keep learning new things, and that's why you should continuously do that, and not just with one thing, but in a broad, with a different range of it goes in different directions as well. So that's kind of an ongoing thing during part of life. That's how I see that.
Yeah.
And I would like to ask everyone who is here now to check out the links in the title. I am pretty sure that the way I've written the channels there in the title is so that you can click directly on those and get to the channels, check the channels. Matthias Striemann and Berserker 2019, check them out, and there are so much interesting stuff there. And it would totally make my day if you subscribe to those channels. That would be awesome. So that's my finishing words here. Should we? What do we? It's like in Norway, we just go, we leave, we say ha det, and that's all. We're not very good at courtesy here in this part of the world, but so I don't know what to say really. Goodbye.
I guess we could leave it at that. Bye. Just click off.
Yeah, we'll end it here, and again, thank you to everyone who has been in the chat commenting. We will thank even the trolls and haters.
Of course.
We did get quite a lot at one time there, but then they went away. So a big thank you to everyone actually. Yeah, wonderful.
My dog
That's
wants.
it now. I will now click end here.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, everybody. Stay safe. See you soon.
Take care.